Well, good evening and welcome to TV47 Weekend Edition. It's always a pleasure, having you and as well doing this with you. My name is Linda Alela. I'll be assisted on the other side on the sign language interpreter's desk. There is none other than Catherine Simeloi. Well, not Catherine Simeloi, but definitely Rodenyamai. They're out there. But of course, we have so much lined up for you in relation to news. And it being to the point, we will be focusing, or we'll be basing our focus on the question of health in the country. Just what is the state of health 5 months into the rolling of SHA? That was yesterday. As we mark this, do we suppose that this is the direction we want to take? A majority of people will tell you that perhaps it has not worked for them. But as we progress, we also have positive stories as to Kenyans saying that SHA is working. But what will the medics say? Of course, the Kenya Union of Clinical Nurses chairperson Peterson Washira will be joining us shortly for that very conversation. What is the bone of contention between them and the Ministry of Health? What needs to be done to ensure that they are allowed to proceed with work such that Kenyans then can get the best of value when it comes to the question of health? Unfortunately, we also had the pleasure of having the RUFA chairperson joining us. That is as to the question of what bone of contention there is between the Ministry of Health and private facilities, but he sends his apologies tonight, and therefore the conversation must continue. Send us your comments. 22047 is the SMS short code. We'll be sampling your comments as we get to continue with the broadcast. It's good to have you, and we go straight to the highlights and the news.
Tonight, President William Ruto donates millions to City Church in defiance to heavy criticism and accusations of pulpit capture.
Mimi nikiweko, I am a product of giving to God.
And a serene church service in Roysambo is abruptly and chaotically disrupted as a group invades the service, baying for the pastor's blood. Some church members, however, did not turn the other cheek and instead resorted to an eye for an eye.
Ambia makanisa, tafadhali, mapasta wale wabaya, acheni kujificha kwa makanisa kwa sababu mnaharibia kanisa zingine zile nzuri.
Tonight we look at the Mai Mahiu area, a year after a devastating disaster destroyed lives and property, forever changing the features of the residents.
Hiyo shamba watatuangalia, wanatunulia shamba, watatusaidia, lakini tangu wakati hatuchai wapata tena.
Straight to business, where an unapologetic President William Ruto Sunday went ahead to call out a section of the clergy who have in the recent past criticized his donations to the church, even to the point of rejecting them. Ruto maintains that his offerings are meant for God, not man. The head of state went further to donate 20 million shillings towards the construction of Jesus Winner Church here in Roysambo, promising the church a further 100 million shillings donation, a move he admits he made in spite of his detractors, as Moige William details.
Nyinyi mnajua.
An unapologetic president.
Mnajua.
President William Ruto pulling no punches, directing his measured words towards critics of his donations to the church.
Wakati tunamtolea Mungu, hatumpatii binadamu. Si ndio? Matoleo tunayotoa sio kwa sababu tunampatia Bishop Mwai. Hatupatii congregation hii, tunampatia Mungu.
This is a president who has in the past been the subject of sharp reprimands from a section of clergy over his donations to churches, with some clergy publicly rejecting the donations outright.
Mimi nimejaribu sana kutafuta kwa Biblia. Na mimi ni msomi wa kiasi wa Biblia. Nimejaribu kutafuta mahali inasema ati ukimpatia Mungu unarudishiwa na askofu.
Unmoved, the president moved to silence his detractors by giving a donation of 20 million shillings towards the construction of the Jesus Winner Church Roysambo, with the promise of an additional 100 million shillings.
Na wengine wetu, mimi nikiweko, I am a product of giving to God. And I am unapologetic about giving to God. And I do it on the firm foundation of the scriptures.
President Ruto now maintains that he will not stop giving donations to churches amid the rising criticism from a section of the clergy and Kenyans. Ruto's donations have triggered hot debate and heavy criticism before, with many unhappy at what appeared to be the state or the political capture of the pulpits, and all in a tight economy, amid claims that the millions donated to churches are proceeds of graft. November 17, 2024, the Catholic Church Archdiocese of Nairobi returned a 2.8 million shillings donation. Mai Mahiu, TV47.
You certainly expect lots of reactions from Kenyans as well as other leaders who for the longest of time have been told to cut these donations that they make in churches. And now Raila Odinga has called for the compensation for victims of the Gen Z-led anti-government protests that took place last year. Speaking at a consultative meeting with ODM leaders in Mombasa, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga emphasized the need for financial redress for those who were injured and the families for those who lost their lives during the demonstrations. He stressed that such incidents should not be prepared or repeated in Kenya again, and Raila's remarks come amid ongoing discussions about his next political move following his unsuccessful bid for the African Union Commission chairmanship.
Hawa wanachama wa chungwa wa hapa Mombasa wameamua wakanipatia mimi fursa niendelee na mambo ya kufanya consultation. Wameniunga mkono. Wale vijana ambaye walipata majeraha na wazazi wa wale ambaye waliuawa ile mwaka wa 2023 wakati wa ile maandamano ya Azimio na ya mwaka jana ya Gen Z, nataka wapewe ridhaa au jamii yao wapewe ridhaa. Hiyo vile ni sharti ambayo sisi tunaweka tukubaliane. Lakini muhimu zaidi ni ya kwamba yale maneno ya kome yasikiwa inaendelea katika taifa letu.
All right, still on politics, and former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua now says that President William Ruto's decision to impeach him from office has harmed Ruto's image and changed perceptions towards his leadership in Mount Kenya region. Gachagua is now asking Ukambani residents to join hands with his faction in efforts to punish the head of state at the ballot box during the 2027 general election. With or without the support of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, Gachagua claims that the Gema communities will be the driving force behind Kenya's next government, as Micah Gungu details.
As clock ticks towards the 2027 general election, what appears to be the opposition led by former DP Rigathi Gachagua, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka and PLP leader Martha Karua is aligning itself by consolidating their backyard support before embarking on countrywide campaigns. While speaking at a church service in Machakos Sunday, former DP Rigathi Gachagua claims that since his impeachment process, Mount Kenya region residents have turned away from the president and remain skeptical of his promises. A sign, Gachagua says, of the evaporation of trust.
Najua William Ruto alikuwa anafikiria ni mjanja sana. Alikuwa anafikiria atanifukuza mimi mtu binafsi atiabaki na watu yangu. Si mimi nilikuwa nimechaguliwa. Aliponifukuza nikatoka na kila mtu. Sasa pale hata akituma rabirabi kanisani anaambiwa hapana. Rabirabi ya mazishi imekataliwa.
While wooing Ukampani residents, the former DP asserted that with or without the support of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, the Gema communities will be the driving force behind Kenya's next government.
This Gema, this one, Gikuyu, Embu, Meru, and Kamba. Hii ndio dawa ya Kenya. And I want to assure you, the Kamba people, this time round, tukiwa na nyinyi, tutaunda serikali pamoja.
After joining hands with Kalonzo Musyoka, Martha Karua and Eugene Wamalwa, Gachagua reassured his followers that they had enough people to win by a landslide and that their political plan was sound. Gachagua claiming that President William Ruto's political survival depended on Raila Odinga.
Sisi na nyinyi tunataka tukue Mount Kenya moja. Let us unite and we join other Kenyans as one group. Mimi nisiende peke yangu, Kalonzo asiende peke yake. Kwanza tufanye nini? Tuunganishe.
Nimwambie aache kuwa kama mosquito. Sababu mosquito inanyonya damu, inakula mtu, alafu bado inampigia kelele.
Gachagua recently alluded to his willingness to work with Raila Odinga to bolster efforts to overthrow President William Ruto in the 2027 general election. Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
We are uniting and we are liberating the country.
All right, a political storm is brewing in Meru County, where Governor Kawira Mwangaza faces mounting challenges in her fight for political survival. For impeachment battles to aggressive political rivals, the battle to protect her leadership does not appear to be easing up. And now Meru Senator Kathuri Murungi declares that he will be going for the Meru County gubernatorial seat in the next general elections.
Governor Kawira Mwangaza has been no stranger to controversy since taking office in August 2022. In just over 2 years, she has faced impeachment attempt with accusations ranging from gross misconduct and abuse of office to nepotism and mismanagement of county resources.
Tunangojea uamuzi wa court tarehe 14 ambapo ikiwezekana kwa majalia ya Mungu naibu wa gavana yule yako hapa Isaac Mutuma atakuwa gavana wetu.
In the Senate vote, 26 senators supported her removal on all charges, marking a historic moment as she became the first governor impeached after the 2022 elections. However, Governor Mwangaza has consistently defended herself, claiming her wars are politically motivated.
When you want someone to give testimony about surviving political gender violence, tafuteni Governor Kawira Mwangaza.
Senator Murungi, who serves as the Senate Deputy Speaker, has recently declared his intention to run for governor in 2027, a move that could further complicate Mwangaza's political future.
Wananchi wanaongea kulingana na sauti ya Mungu. Hawa wamwekero hiyo sauti na Mungu, na nimekubali hiyo sauti sababu lazima tusaidie nchi yetu, lazima tusaidie kaunti yetu na tuone vile inaenda vizuri.
Senator Murungi's announcement has added a new dimension to Meru's political landscape as a key figure in the United Democratic Alliance, UDA.
Mungu akinipea nguvu tukisema tunaamua yule atasimama 2027 kwa mbio 100 meters. Siku hiyo nitakuwa kama vile sungura walikimbizana na hii kitu na kobe.
Despite these challenges, Governor Mwangaza remains defiant, expressing confidence that Meru residents would re-elect her if given another chance at the ballot. As Meru County navigates this turbulent period, all eyes are on Governor Kawira Mwangaza as she fights to hold on to power while preparing for an intense political showdown in 2027. Will she weather this storm or succumb to mounting pressure? Only time will tell. Sheila Chelangat for TV47.
Thank you, Sheila, for that. Now, worshippers at Christ Impact Church in Ruiru, Kiambu County were left in shock after a group of people stormed the place of worship during the morning service, demanding an address by the church leader, whom they accused of misconduct. The agitated protesters were demanding accountability and expressed their displeasure with the church pastor's behavior, as Chichi Josephine details.
A week of tension and shocking accusations against the pastor of the Christ Impact Church, who has been accused of involvement and support of homosexuality, culminated when a group of people stormed the church on Sunday, demanding to interrogate the church leader, or the accused of misconduct.
Kama imepita miaka miwili na hakuna polisi amefuatilia, hakuna mtu yote amefuatilia, basi itabidi sisi wote tutoke nje ili tuweze kushinikiza serikali iweze kushughulikia majambo haya, kwa sababu afadhali tusikie kitu kama hichi kimefanyika kwa klabu lakini sio kwa makanisa.
However, he was nowhere to be seen. The agitated protesters were demanding accountability and expressed their displeasure with the church pastor's behavior.
Kati leo tumekuja, tumemkosa. Tumekuja tukapata washirika, tukaenda mahali pale kuingia ndani kuwaeleza what is going on. Then kidogo vijana juu ya kukasirika na hiyo hasira wakakuja hapa ndio manini wakaenda na washirika.
Church congregants took to their heels to secure themselves after a large group of angry protesters who had begun stoning the church encountered stiff resistance from a section of the congregants, leading to a violent and chaotic scene. The police were forced to use tear gas canisters to disperse the agitated crowd, baying for the clergyman's blood.
Ningependa kuambia makanisa, tafadhali, mapasta wale wabaya, acheni kujificha kwa makanisa kwa sababu mnaharibia kanisa zingine zile mzuri. No.
The pastor is alleged to subdue his alleged victims by drugging them. It is claimed that the crimes have been reported to various police stations in the area, but so far no clear action has been seen.
Wale watu wawili, report moja iko Central Police Station Nakuru, wali confirm it's true. The guy alireport pale lakini hakuna hatua ilichukuliwa.
Chichi, Josephine, TV47.
Well, interesting times. Now, there was drama this evening at the home of late Malava Member of Parliament Malulu Injendi as a group of locals booed and threw projectiles at Trans Nzoia governor, that is George Natembeya, and his team while they addressed mourners. The disturbance followed what had been a peaceful procession and the arrival of the body, which was brought from Nairobi. The late MP is set to be laid to rest at his home on Tuesday this week.
Mambo ya sha tunasema tawe. Ndio. Ruto akikuja hapa kutanganya barabara tunasema tawe. Kama hakuna maendeleo tunasema tawe. Na kama Malava MP na wenzangu na wako kwa bado tunasema tawe. Tunataka kunatembea. Na kama yeye ni mwanamume na amejitolea, kwa nini nyinyi msimshike nguvu?
Sisi Waluya tuki watu waoga. Viongozi wetu ndio wamekuwa waoga. Lakini mimi nimesema niko mbele. Waluya mtanishika mkono. Wakati ya watu wachache wanakula na wengi wanaumia, wakati imekwisha. Mtu Mluya ameumia, amesema taifa la Kenya, tumesema tumetoka, ndio. Fanyaje? Tumetoka. Mimi nasema hivi, watu wetu kuja kuongea siasa siku nyingine, si ndio? Mimi sitaki vita, naona watu wamejipanga hapa kwa kuleta tunawajua. Mambo ya ukabila, mambo ya kuheko, mambo ya mapendeleo, mambo ya umaskini, mambo ya vifo, mambo ya magonjwa, mambo ya utawala mbaya. Tumesema 2027 tunafanya nini?
Yes, slip on the tongue on what was due to him. Of course, the projectiles has evidently seen something that is rather unfortunate. We'll be giving you updates of that developing story as and when they get to hit the desk, including the actual day of the burial. Now, we get to a different story where Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki recently concluded a visit to Windhoek, Namibia, where he engaged with the Kenyan diaspora community. In his address, he lauded their significant contributions through remittances and addressed concerns regarding the government's recent policy decisions, as George Maringa details.
Need to strengthen ties with Kenyans abroad, Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki met with the Kenyan community in Windhoek, Namibia. The gathering served as a platform to acknowledge the diaspora's pivotal role in Kenya's economy.
We thank you for what you're doing for our country, the diaspora community. You play a huge role in developing our nation. Diaspora remittances now have overtaken the traditional tea, tourism, and so forth, and horticulture, which for the last 30, 40 years have been the leading earners of foreign exchange for Kenya. So remittances now are scaling up towards 500. It's past 400 billion.
The Deputy President emphasized the government's commitment to creating more investment opportunities for Kenyans abroad, aiming to harness their potential further for national development.
Those are the ideas we have. We may not have perfect ideas, but we have an idea of what we need to do to take the country forward. And we are asking those who are of a contrary view to give alternative policy positions. We must stop this trivialization of a national discourse into tribes and I don't know which other thing and small issues.
During the interactive session, diaspora members voiced concerns over recent government policies perceived as unpopular. The Deputy President further reassured the diaspora community of the administration's dedication to economic recovery, citing stabilized exchange rates and declining inflation as indicators of positive change.
You know, for an ordinary Kenyan, at individual level, it doesn't mean much. But the basis for us to take Kenya to the next level and make other interventions successfully is in when our currency is stable in the long term. And the good news is that the shilling is going to drop. I mean that the value of the shilling is going to increase. And the dollar, the exchange rate against the dollar is going to drop in the coming months.
The meeting concluded on a hopeful note, with the diaspora expressing optimism about increased collaboration with the government to foster national growth.
Kenya is your homeland, isn't it? Yes. So we owe you a duty of explaining to you what we are doing as the current stewards of the country's affairs. We are determined under President William Ruto to transform Kenya and make it better.
As Kenya continues to navigate its developmental journey, the government's outreach to its diaspora underscores a recognition of the invaluable role Kenyans abroad play in shaping the nation's future. George Maringa, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, plans to transport the body of the police officer who died in the line of duty in the Haiti mission have been completed, with the body expected to be brought to Kenya between the 4th and the 6th of this month. Speaking in a church service in Kajiado East today, Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja condoled with the family of the elder Kitwai Lesaru Sash, who is the father of the late officer. IG Kanja expressed that the late officer will be remembered as a hero who died fighting for the rights of the downtrodden people of Haiti, adding that the government and the police department will then stand with the family at this time of mourning.
We have lost a great officer who was out of this country, discharging his duties in Haiti, ensuring that there is peace and security in that area. So he passed on in the front line, and we are proud of him. We are proud of him because he was a young man, had ready to serve this country or elsewhere, and he has just done that. To the family, tunasema pole sana. Kwa majirani, tunasema pole sana. wasasi wake tunasema pole sana, kwa mjane pia tunasema pole sana.
Samuel amefariki katika line of duty and serving the country, and therefore is an hero, and he will be placed in a special place in this country, because he was fighting not only for people of Haiti and this country, but he was also serving the Lord.
May his soul rest in eternal peace, and sincere condolences to the family and friends. Today marks the 50th anniversary of the assassination of Josiah Mwangi Kariuki, affectionately known as J.M. Kariuki, a prominent Kenyan politician and vocal advocate for social justice. A commemorative service was held earlier today at All Saints Cathedral in Nairobi, bringing together family and friends, political leaders, as well as members of the public to honor his enduring legacy. George Maringa brings us the highlights from this poignant event.
My father used to tell me,
had he been alive, he would have turned 96 on March the 21st. Half a century after his tragic assassination, the memory of J.M. Kariuki continues to resonate deeply within the Kenyan consciousness. Today, All Saints Cathedral in Nairobi became a focal point for reflection and remembrance.
About the funeral, people came in thousands. And they all were so happy because they came to console us. Now, I want to finish. Life after JM. And I want to ask these people, you people who killed JM, they are known because there was a select committee. And some of them were cautioned. There is the late Daddy, Ignatius Daddy, who was the CID boss.
Born in 1929 in Nyeri County, J.M. Kariuki emerged as a formidable voice against inequality during Kenya's post-independence era. His famous declaration, "We do not want a Kenya of 10 millionaires and 10 million beggars," encapsulated his vision for the nation.
We were in school with all those who are in the deep state of the Kenyatta regime. And if there's a time that we were woken up to politics, it was that year, 1975. Because even in our classes, we started becoming divided about what is right and wrong. Why a father to people we are growing up with would be taken away simply because he talks the truth.
His relentless advocacy for the marginalized made him both a beloved figure among the masses and a contentious one among the elite.
And I think the call for justice for all people who have been murdered, big and small, will never die until justice is done. And the justice will not just be a question of punishing the criminals or doing whatever. Justice must involve restitution.
Today's service not only commemorated J.M. Kariuki's life, but also served as a call to action. Attendees emphasized the need to uphold the principles he championed.
I was just joking with Jimmy when he asked me a question. I told him, sometimes, even with leadership and institutions, it's not always a rosy day. Sometimes things happen wrong, and I was giving him an example of what happened last week. But I think the kind of leader that JM was and the kind of leadership that we want is leadership that admits when something has been done that is wrong and says, sorry, that was wrong, that cannot be done again, and this is, and picks up. Because we lead institutions of many people. If you look at Rosemary, you cannot countenance the thought that she would give any instructions of some, kind of things that you see, but we lead institutions with thousands of people.
George Maringa, TV47, Nairobi.
As well, one of the forefathers of this beautiful nation, may his soul continue resting in eternal peace. We want to take a short break right here, but we still have more coming your way, so don't you go anywhere.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's minds. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today and you get the symptoms tomorrow. By the time you pick it or the time it is manifesting in you, probably will be there about 5 to 10 years.
The eye is the window to the rest of the body.
Don't forget to stay hydrated.
And of course, you at home, do take your water.
So the ultimate test is actually you check your urine. Your urine should be clear.
Clear like the water?
Yes. Should be able to see the other side of the urine. If your urine is colored or has changed color, you cannot see the other side, then you have not taken enough water.
Don't forget regular health checkups. Early detection saves lives.
I want the message.
Remember, the conversation tonight is the state of health in the country, and once again we'll be having the chairperson of the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers joining us. That is Peterson Washira. Unfortunately, Dr. Brian Lishenga could not make it tonight, the chairperson of RUFA. But as I have said, the conversation must continue as well. You back at home are welcome to speak to us. Send your comments to 20447 is the SMS shortcode. The hashtag, as always, to the point. I'll be sampling your comments as we continue, but we still have more as to news, and we go straight to it, where 4 years calling for help in Baulala and Milore in Kilifi County meant walking kilometers to find network coverage. Now, with a simple dial, residents can connect instantly thanks to a long-awaited transformation. Now, in this report by our reporter Quinto Afula, we explore the benefits that residents of various areas in Kilifi County are now enjoying following the installation of communication towers. Take a look.
In Baulala, approximately 70 kilometers from Kilifi town and 30 kilometers from Shekahola, life is running smoothly. A significant part of this progress is attributed to the installed communication towers, which have improved connectivity and facilitated daily activities.
Tafuta kupiga simu, tunaenda kwa mlima tunapiga simu, lakini wakati huu tuko hapa kwa soko, tuwasiliana vizuri.
Huwa inarahisisha hata biashara zetu, makazi yetu pia. Kwa hivyo tunashukuru vile mnara huu, tangu uwekwe mnara huu, tumeona biashara zetu zinaenda vizuri.
Kupiga simu juu ya watoto kama wako mbali shule, tunawasiliana vizuri. Mambo na kutuma pesa, kwa mfano kama tunataka kutuma vyombo sokoni, tutuma vizuri, hatuna shida tena.
About 40 kilometers from Baulala, this is Milore. A similar transformation is evident.
Kile kama unataka kutuma mzigo, pengine uko Kilifi, wapige na network wapata vizuri kabisa.
In all aspects of life, it has really assisted the community in many ways. Hata pia wanafunzi umesikia wakisema inawasaidia pia kufanya masomo.
Despite the efforts of the Communications Authority of Kenya and other stakeholders, setting up communication towers has faced numerous challenges. Some communities remain skeptical, resisting the infrastructure due to cultural beliefs.
That these things may be causing cancer. Now you'll find, of course, many reports online that may make such claims. But what we usually advise is that please rely on reports that are peer reviewed.
It takes a while before they can complete, maybe because these areas are in far-flung areas, they're in remote areas where there are no roads, insecurity and all this. So it takes quite a while before they can complete. Base stations we have put, I think maybe in excess of about 30 base stations have been brought down by Al-Shabaab.
Acts of vandalism and distraction by criminal elements have discouraged private network providers from investing. This has forced the CA to offer financial support to telecom companies willing to extend coverage to marginalized areas.
As a regulator, we are very keen on ensuring that we are expanding our network coverage as a country, and our service providers are reaching out to those areas that are underserved or unserved for that matter.
Measurement of the population against the existing infrastructure and knowing exactly where the populations are not covered, and those becomes of interest to the fund.
Currently, 96.6% of households in Kenya have access to mobile networks, with the subsequent project valued at 3.6 billion Kenya shillings, where a total of 303 sub-locations are expected to benefit from improved connectivity.
This is one among those that CA has enabled with partnership with internet service providers in the country. Now, this authority stating its commitment to ensure that all areas in the country are reached by this essential service. Kinto Wafula, TV47, Milore, Kilifi County.
Oh, it's beautiful to see such positive stories, because then we understand just how critical communication is and the importance of that connection. Thank you, Quinto, for that. Now, nature's power cannot be underestimated. A year ago, avalanches of boulders nearly submerged the transit town of Mai Mahiu. In just a few weeks, residents will mark the anniversary of this devastating calamity with little support from the promises made by the government. While construction of a new bridge at the epicenter is underway, the town is still reeling. Our reporter Willie Dennis Njiru revisits the town and shows us the harsh reality locals continue to face.
Heavy rains witnessed in the country last year turned Mai Mahiu into a picture of death, suffering, cries and pain as a torrent of mud rushed down and swept away all in its pathway, displacing 65 families at Kamushira village. 29th of April 2024 remains encrypted in the hearts of Mai Mahiu residents. A year later, the events of the fateful day recons their mind, still fresh to the locals.
Ukiona hayo mawe, unaona pale maji yalitoka, hiyo jambo linakuwa ni kama tu ni jana tu ilifanyika. Tuko na shida kubwa sana kwa sababu hiyo kitu inasubua mawazo ya kila mtu ambaye anakaa hapa.
Vile nililala kitu sana na 45 nikasikia sauti inakuja kwangu, sauti kazuri kama ni taxi inakuja, nikafikiria ni kama bibi yangu na watoto wanakuja, juu hakukuja hiyo Sunday, walikuwa wanakuja hiyo siku. Sasa tena nikasikia sauti imesidi sana zaidi. Sile sauti ilisidi, nikasikia kama ni magari mingi. Wakati huo nikaamka, nikachukua panga na nikachukua lungu. Sasa hiyo nikasikia msichana yangu ameniita akaniambia, bamba, hii nyumbani kuna maji.
Lakini saa 9 hivi imebaki, tukasikia mgulumo. Ni kama kitu kinakuja, kinaanguka juu, kinatoka juu, kinaanguka chini. Halafu tukatokea. Wakati tulitokea tulikuta maji imejaa na maji ilikuwa imebeba watu.
A recap precedents. A creek at the escarpment that served railway connectivity hurled its reservoirs to 65 families and schools along the waterway at 2:40 a.m., running over 10 kilometers. A natural catastrophe that has not been witnessed in the history of the region.
Tulipata mengi mambo mabaya sana duniani yenye hatujawahi fikiria. Hapa ndio tulipoteza wapendwa wetu na ndipo tulipotezea mali. Mimi kwa siku ile sikuwa nimelala. Nilikuwa kazini ya usiku hapa. Kwa hivyo kila kitu ilikuwa kitendeka nilikuwa naona.
Ile si damu ilikuwaga pale juu. Ile ni railway. Na ile railway
wafai kujenga kama hawajalipa watu wenye walikufa na kuna watu wenye walikuwa wasima na saa hii ni viwete mpaka wa leo. Wanafaa waangalie hiyo mambo, walipe watu. Ile hasara watu walienda walipe watu.
At dawn, the reality was emblemished. Scattered assemblies of individuals in desolation, with unaccounted family members, injuries, extensive damages, properties and stalled traffic for over 7 hours along the busy Mai Mahiu, Naivasha, Narok, Nairobi roads, residents recount.
Tunaogopa sana. Hata saa hizi watu wakisikia sauti kama hiyo lori inapita, unaona mtu anaangalia tu kama ni maji. Ile kitu ilikuwa hofu sana. Na tio kwetu tu hata kwa wanyama. Kama ilikuwa imebeba mpaka ndugu na ndugu vile inaruka. Unaona hilo jambo la maajabu.
Hata wakati mvua mnanyesha, si tunatoka nje. Tuangalie vile itakuwa. Tunatoka nje tuangalie vile itakuwa. Ikinyesha kabisa tunatoka nje hata ikiwa ni saa ngapi tunaangalia hii mvua itaenda namna gani.
There was a time in January that it rained for about a week. And then from Kinale, the waters collected, they flowed through this channel. So the children were like, maji, tujasikia maji. So everyone is afraid. Even us as teachers, we are afraid when it rains too much because the children are not boarders. They have to go home and they have to cross the channels.
We have assessed those students coming from risk areas and we've given them allowance to be leaving school at around 4:30 so that we reduce the risk.
Juxtapositions painting pictures of then and now, from the flooded to dry rivers, depleted to redone structures with others still in the making close to a year after.
Ni kitu ingezuiwa. So mimi ningeomba haki siku moja itendeke juu dada yangu alikuwa shule, alikuwa anasomea hapa Ngea. Na alikuwa sasa ndio angemaliza shule form 4. So mimi nasikia kauchungu sana nikimfikiria.
Veronica Mudhoni Karanja was in form 4 at the time of the tragedy and lost a brother.
Hapa hivi niligongwa na mawe mimi nikiwa nimelala. Saa mimi nikaenda nikaita babangu. Muita akaniambia nizime stima. Saa nikizima stima maji kakuja saa ikiwa mingi. Mimi nikaenda nikajaribu kujishikilia nikashindwa, nikapelekwa hadi huko kwa ile mansion iko huko mwisho. Babangu akajishikilia kwa mti ilikuwa hapa, brother yangu akabebwa na maji, haonekani hadi saa hii.
Despite all odds, she triumphed in her KCSE exams, scoring a B plain grade in the 2024 national exams. We were lucky to catch up with her.
I did my form 4 and although nilijaribu but sivyo nilikuwa nataka. You know, the floods, those things prevented me. So I got a B and naweza penda mtu yeyote tu mwema anaweza tusaidia with the fee yenye inakuja hapo mbele, the university fee. Tunaweza shukuru.
Senior government officials and their entourage visited the victims with a promise of relocation as experts ruled out the inhabitability of the affected stretch.
Utafiti itafanywa kama kuna hakikisho ya kwamba hakutatokea na shida kama hii, basi tutaenda kujengea hawa manyumba pale. Lakini kama itatokea utafiti kwamba hakuna hakikisho ya kwamba haitatokea tena, tutanunua shamba kama serikali na tuende tuwajengee makao mengine mapya.
Remarks that the locals say are yet to be honored aside feasibility assessments.
Wakati wa serikali ilikuja kwetu asubuhi, wakatuambia vile kuko, wakatuangalia vizuri na pia wakatuambia kama ni hiyo shamba watatuangalia, wanitunulie shamba, watatusaidia, lakini tangu wakati hatujai wapata tena.
Tungeomba serikali ile promise iliweka, bado tunaigojea tu. Walitupromise watakuja kupima hii mto, wajue ni wapi mto hawezi jenga ama ni wapi atajenga. Hatujaona hata mmoja. Baadaye walituambia ya kwamba wata make sure pale maji haitawahi simama tena. Na tukiangalia tunaona reli inajengwa. Reli inajengwa bado wao ndio walitupiga na maji.
I'm telling the government, ili yodoe hiyo dhana ya kwamba serikali inaweka promises na hakuna hata promise moja ambayo imekamilika. Can they honor ya waadhiriwa wa Mai Mahiu.
This is Ngea Girls High School that served as a satellite and command center for all activities from medical services to food and non-food items, distribution to counseling and spiritual nourishment. Though the school norm is now back in operation, the journey, they say, hasn't been smooth.
We hosted them for around 2 weeks approximately there, and because the schools had already been opened in other places, the ministry concerned with the same issue, plus the county government of Nakuru, decided that they shift these victims to other places. And fortunate enough, they found a place.
Joy Vision School is one of the 2 learning centers by the base of the escarpment that were first hit by the waterfalls. Boulders here remain rife to date, though the playing ground has been cleared.
The whole of the field was washed away and boulders were left. We had to clear. The wall was washed away too. We had to clear, and it was very costly.
Snyder School, where 8 of its student population and 3 parents succumbed to the tragic deluges, lives with a chilling reality cutting across many of its pupils. The head teacher tells me that the counseling interventions are frequent for the soul.
Hawa watoto huwa anakumbuka hao madeskmate walikuwa nakaa na wao, vile walikuwa wanacheza, na hiyo gap bado haijafungwa, iko tu empty. Hao watoto wamekuwa wakihuzunika sana kwa sababu ya hao watoto ambao walipoteza. Pia hao wazazi ambao walipotea, hao watoto wako na shida sana juu sometimes unakuta wameanza kulia, wanasema ati wamedharauliwa na Mungu, lakini tunajaribu tu kuwaongelesha kidogo tu tuone kama watarecover.
32 of 47 counties were affected by these torrents, with 2,750 people displaced, in it being 900 schools nationally. 52 people to date remain unaccounted for, with 31 from Mai Mahiu tragedy, in spite multi-sectoral efforts by rescue mission teams here.
There is a deep gully here that we have actually braved to get to at this time of the day to ensure that we unravel the mystery behind where all this water goes into. And we have actually discovered that there is a gully here over 100 feet where all this water is swallowed beneath and no one knows where it flows to.
The amalgamation of the requiem mass to 61 victims, bewilderment, anxiety and disbelief to the strong act by Mother Nature could tell it all.
Wakati wa mazishi tulipewa 150 kila mtu, kila mwenye alikuwa amekufa. Sasa dada yangu tulipewa 150 na baba na mama yangu 150.
The rains are almost here, and every drop that quenches the ground sends a quiver down the spine to the survivors, with graves that lay bare here in the neighborhoods, cognizant of harsh reality and uncertainty.
Around here, about 27 people went. They were swept away by the water and they died. So we can't take it in and sit comfortably with it. It will still stay etched in our hearts that some people went and they are not coming back. Some homes were swept, and what there is in that place are boulders. So we cannot sit comfortably with it and just relax. So it will always be hard on our part.
At the horizon, the same sun that melts butter dries a pot truly exhibits here, as the escarpment largely dried up. Ironically, the town is a water deficiency area, despite sharing its noun in local dialect, Mai Mahiu, to mean hot water in Kikuyu dialect. There is hope at the end of the tunnel, as the construction of a permanent water passage nears completion that cut open last year, with engineers rushing to beat the deadline and the onset of the wet season that would jeopardize their efforts. The region receives immense flash floods from the upper catchment of Nyandarua that equally supplies its water to the capital city, Nairobi.
The fateful and unfortunate catastrophic events of 29th of April 2024 still linger in the minds of the residents of this place, with only time that their hearts may heal. Reporting for TV47 from Mai Mahiu in Naivasha, Nakuru County, I'm Willie Dennis Njiru.
Well, thank you so much, Willie Dennis Njiru, for that comprehensive report, but unfortunately reminding us of the sad turn of events back then. Of course, I remember it wasn't just about Mai Mahiu, but basically the entire country. And the biggest question then would go to the government, to go to the people and the authorities. Are we ready and set to face in the event that, or to face the same in the event that such a catastrophe would then arise? But we certainly hope that we become bigger, better as we pick lessons. Now we want to go straight to sports, and then thereafter we'll be crossing over to that important interview as to the state of health in the country.
Sports news brought to you by Maybets. Join Maybets leo upate free bet papo hapo. Fanya hivi, chagua home team to win, yani number 1, au draw X, au away team 2 kwa game ya siku ya free bet. Weka namba yako ya simu, weka password ya account yako. Chagua submit free bet. Utapata free bet kwa account yako ya Maybets. Usisahau kuverify account yako. Kama hutakuwa verified, utapoteza free bet yako after 2 days. Betting is strictly for 18 years and over. Play responsibly. Terms and conditions apply. BCLB number 000578.
Maybet na minia na najishindia. Pesa inavutia.
You hear that? You know we are going straight to sports, and Kakamega Homeboys' impressive and beaten streak came to a disappointing one, and of course as they were swept aside by Shabana 4-1 at the Gusii Stadium. Shabana opened the scoring through Elvis Osok before a brace from Oscar Juma and a brilliant strike from Brian Mishira sent the stadium into a frenzy. Meanwhile, in other results, Bandari settled for a barren draw with the Brewers, while Muranga Seal shared the spoils with Mathare United in an 1-1 draw.
Oscar Juma, mechi ya kwanza ndani ya uzi wa Shabana. Ya kwanza ni kushukuru, tumetoka bila jeraha, but kidogo tunafurahia ushindi, but kidogo tena tuko frustrated. Kiangalia tulikuwa tunataka kuingia kutoka kwa hii mechi with a clean sheet. So ilikuwa ni any results, any goals, but we keep a clean sheet. So kidogo unaweza sema tumeachieve 3 points, tumeachieve mabao, but tena itabidi tena tunarudi tena kuangalia how do we concede. Mbona tuna concede hizi dakika za mwisho? So it's something frustrating na ni kitu ambayo lazima turudi tena tuwakie, but all in all tunashukuru point 3 na hizo mabao.
Makuwa magoli yote ni individual mistakes. Kiangalia zote imetoka kwa miguu yetu, tunapeana. Goli la kwanza same, la pili, la 3 na la 4. Naona. So mimi nitajaribu kuweza kuona, manake magoli mengi lazima tukubali. Magoli mengi ni hivyo, vijana nafikiri walikuja wakabweteka baada ya kufanya kuwa na run nzuri, wamekuja wakabweteka wenyewe. Though tajaribu kufight again tuweze kuona kuwa tunarudi katika fomu yetu tena.
Kenya's rising motorsport star Tinashe Gatimu will be the youngest ever female driver at the 2025 World Rally Championship Safari Rally. This will be the 3rd time mother and daughter will occupy the same cockpit in their Subaru Impreza on the 20th to 23rd of March in Nairobi and Naivasha. Our sports reporter Tony Kwalanda tells us just how she balances between college and the cockpit.
Daughter Tinashe Gatimu, mother Caroline Gatimu, father Gatimu Mindo are the faces of the mom and daughter rally team, which will be participating in the 2025 World Rally Championship Safari Rally. This will be the 3rd time college student Tinashe and her navigator mother will be rubbing shoulders with the big boys on the global stage. The duo will be steering a Subaru Impreza GC8
from the 20th to the 23rd of March in stages located in Nairobi and Naivasha. They retired their Subaru N10, which felt the full force of the grueling 2024 edition.
Competing in the WRC is an amazing feeling. The last 2 years we've competed in it, it's been almost surreal with all the support that we've received and all the people that I've gotten to meet, both from within the country and from outside. So participating in this year's WRC is an amazing feeling.
Besides being the youngest female driver this season in the WRC Safari Rally, she is also the only one who will be co-driven and managed by her parents.
I'm driving a Subaru Impreza GC8. So far we've changed the engine, which is mostly what we're testing today. And so far it's going well. It's performing really well. So after this, we'll do some tuning as well to get that extra kick of power. And I think it's more or less ready for WRC. After we finish the tuning and everything, and we test it again a bit, it'll be good.
They went to now groom the youngsters. All right. So if you look at the sponsorships that they've given all individual youngsters here for the last 4 years, there are many. I can count maybe about 12. They have sponsored the ladies to promote the ladies to drive. All right. Last year we had, I think, a crew of 4, sponsored by Shell.
Tinashe is also part of the Kenya Commercial Bank racing team, which comprises of Africa Rally champion Karan Patel, Evans Kavisi, and Nikhil Sachania.
The bank has put aside Kenya shillings 209 million towards this. 100 million will go directly to WRC Safari Rally, while the balance will go towards brand activation. And you must have seen Revisha na KCB, as you also ROA.
This is the 5th year. It's 2021 to 2025. KCB has put into the rally 500 million directly, making them only second to the government of Kenya. This partnership with KCB has been instrumental in making the Safari Rally a world-class event, contributing to Kenya's identity as a motorsport destination.
The bank injected 23 million shillings into the continental and national stars ahead of the 3rd round of the WRC.
KCB supporting me this year is amazing because they have an amazing roster of drivers already under them. Evans Kavisi, Nikhil Sachania, Karan Patel. And to be able to be in the same team as them, learn from them, gain from the experience, I can't take that for granted. And I hope to continue to, even in the future, to continue to flag KCB's flag high and to participate also in the Africa Rally Championship and give Karan Patel a run for his money.
Their dedication and investments and their belief in sports to transform lives and communities has been appreciated. And I want to say that we appreciate as government because through KCB, you create a formidable name and also inspire other private sector to support activities of sports in the country.
She comes from a motorsport family known as 770 Motorsport Team. Her parents are active drivers and navigators nationally, regionally, and internationally.
All right, here we go. And we close it at this very point where, Cindy, I'm trying to listen to some of the grievances that you've had as the people of Kuko and the government and perhaps basically even the private sector as it happens right now. And of course, Kenyans are eagerly waiting to hear. We've been hearing you perhaps for the better part of the week, but then there's still more that we need to understand. And of course, unfortunately, Rufa Boss was not able to make it this evening, but he sends his apologies. I'm sure you will represent him accordingly. Peterson Washira, the chairperson, Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, asante sana for creating time.
Thank you.
Umesikia vile...
Thank you for inviting me.
Karibu sana as always. Sijui kama ulikuwa unasikiza hiyo story ukasikia wanasema ni Subaru Impreza. What do you call it?
Subaru Impreza.
Subaru Impreza, and now Tony Kwalanda comes on board with Subaru Impreza. Interesting one, but of course that tells you that it is time for us to take a quick, short breather, and we come back with that very important conversation.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's mind. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
All right, welcome back to the broadcast, and to the point. The health situation in the country is what we're looking at, of course, narrowing it down to the bone of contention that lies between the Ministry of Health and the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, and basically the numerous concerns that we continue to have as a people in relation to health. Yesterday marked 5 months since the rolling in of Social Health Authority, SHA, of course, she from the defunct NHIF, and Kenyans are asking, is this the way to go? Is there a way we can reverse the whole process? Especially saying that the government has opted to get into this without listening to what it is that, of course, specialists have to say, and therefore the reason why we get to hear this or to experience the numerous hiccups that are there. But like we said, I mean, there are a couple of people who have tried using the share services, and they say it has worked just perfect for them. Should we continue? Should we not? The latest casualties, we would say, at the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, and the chairperson, Peterson Washira, is here with us this evening to, you know, just tell us what then is the progress amidst the talks. How far, if any?
Thank you, Linda, and thank you for always giving us this opportunity,
right,
so that Kenyans can understand where we are in terms of the health sector in this country. I must say that we are not at a good place because we have not moved. Since we went on strike, we have not moved, probably half a step. Because the things that took us on a strike are majorly, I can say, there are 4.
Right.
Though we have coalesced them.
It's quite a huge list, but coalesced them to, okay.
Yeah. Broadly, we had put 2 issues.
Right.
One of them being the exclusion and discrimination by the Social Health Authority. That in itself has several things.
Right.
It has the facilities, and I wish Lishenga was here because some of his members are actually aggrieved in that grievance. And of course, there is also the pre-authorization by the clinical officers that is after empanelment.
Yeah.
And I'll be able to explain that later. And then we have the other issue now carries a bulk of the things. That is the non-implementation of the return to work agreement of last year.
Right.
That is 2024. It has CBA, it has the issues of promotions and redesignations in line with the career guidelines for clinical officers. It has the issues of the UHC, it has the issues of recruitments, it has the issues of medical cover, the salaries that had been stopped during the strike, and even the issue of Kirinyaga, our officers who had been sacked in 2019 by Governor Waiguru, then later they were reinstated by the Public Service Commission in 2021, further enforced by the court in 2024, but then Kirinyaga County has still refused to honor those orders. And lastly, we have more than 2,500 interns who have not been posted by the ministry for the past almost 2 years, and they have been at home. So it is these issues that really make us be on strike. But if I can explain about SHA.
Before you even get to SHA, does it not disturb you that you continue to raise concerns for quite a long time, and you would consider yourselves, and when I say yourselves, I mean including the General Secretary, you yourself, for years, the same concerns and many others continue to crop up. They have not been addressed. Do you suppose then that you lead this cadre of the health sector as should be?
We do.
So what is this that stops you as a leadership from attaining some of the concerns that the union members then would wish to see attained?
You see, the issue of collective bargaining is an issue that is between employees through their union and employers. Mostly in this context, we are talking about the employers in the government sector, being the Ministry of Health and the Council of Governors. Except the KMPDU that got their CBA in 2017, there is no other union in the health sector. We have around 6 unions in the health sector. There is no other with the CBA that is signed. Much of it is MOUs and return to work agreements. And of course, some, even the recognition agreement, which requires no monetary input, they have not really gotten. So the problem is actually not the unions. The problem is that the side of the government is not meeting their side of the bargain. And there are so many red tapes and bureaucracies. You are taken to Treasury, the other time you are told now the SRC is the problem. And they are the one who have actually kept us going round, because even the courts have pronounced themselves.
Including concerns that perhaps the leadership of the unions or perhaps the leaders of these special cadres have been compromised by government. And therefore, and you have heard of this.
I have.
You have heard of this. So I mean, if you look at your members today, there's not a single time that you have felt compromised in the sense that you have had, or I'm twisted by government to agree or not to agree. And slowly by slowly, we're getting to what it is that you want to address.
Thank you, Linda. That's a very important question. And I think it's a question that is not usually asked. And it's good so that we can be able to explain for the membership and Kenyans to understand. Because what would compromise mean? Compromise would mean that something has been done that now either makes you not to continue pursuing the grievances of your members, or you leave it all together and you don't care where they end up. So in our case, I can say that we have not been compromised. Because what really happens, like you remember last year when we went for 4 months, we had actually said that we were doing it once and for all. But it's the court that came in, the Employment and Labor Relations Court, and Judge Baira Mongai, I have much respect for him. He's the one who came in and said, you have gone almost 4 months, patients are suffering. He summoned both of us, the side of the employers and our side, and he said, now I'm giving an order as the court. Can you sit down, negotiate on a framework on how you'll be able to resolve this? So we didn't have an option. We had to go back because we respect the law. We respect the courts because we believe that that is where we run to when things go haywire. And so we went back to court because the court directed. And we had an agreement. By the way, that agreement is registered in court, and by being a consent, then it comes out as an order of the court. But then still, the side of the employers never honored their side of the bargain on many of the issues. Then in January, even before January. In December, we decide we do not want to go on strike. Why not do demonstrations and remind them? And you remember as we were on demonstrations on issues of SHA and return to work agreement, then nothing happens. In January, we decide now we are going on strike. In a record 3 days, we had numerous meetings.
Right.
We had we actually saw a lot of goodwill then. And some of the things moved. And I think from especially the Council of Governors on some of the issues like the Social Health Authority,
right,
there was real tangible goodwill because they even signed a resolution together with the ministry endorsed by the PS, Hurricane Tai, and directly the Social Health Authority to be able to implement. They have not been able to do that. And I hope you saw the statement by Excellency Governor Sang. He was very furious because basically that is insubordination from the officials of SHA.
Right.
So that was real tangible goodwill. And then we thought if they're able to move like this, then we might be able to resolve all the other issues. Right. But then after the 21 days that they had asked for us to go back and try and resolve the things within the 3 weeks, then we realized, especially the most grievous being the Social Health Authority, that really strips clinic officers of their dignity. We decided it was no longer tenable for us to continue. And that is when we decided that we have to come out and ensure that these things that we agreed upon, you know, there is nothing that we are negotiating, Linda.
Okay.
If it's about the Social Health Authority, there is a resolution directing, and that is a policy direction because it's the top leadership of the Council of Governors and PS Harry. Those are the people who, policy-wise, they direct the Social Health Authority because we can only assume that the PS Harry acts on behalf of the CS, who gives the policy directive. On the matter of the return to work agreement, we have a framework, very clear, but it was supposed to have been done by September of last year. So that is why we are out seeking, can you implement what we already agreed? There is nothing new that we are asking.
What are the chances of this being implemented now that we're saying there's nothing new that we're asking, and this has been asked for before and nothing happening? End in sight? Anything, any hopes, or again you're going to just get to hear the court pronouncing that you have to go back, or perhaps you get half of the bargain and then you say fine, we're going to soften our stance because then we also care about the Kenyans who actually are seeking your services, and then go back? Or what, I mean, what do we expect?
You know, we are at a very what can I say? We are at a point where it's very even confusing for us.
Okay.
Because what is the need of myself going back to the facility where I cannot be able to see the patients who are registered under the Social Health Authority? What is the difference of me being there and not being there?
Let's listen into what the president has to say about the question of health and then come back and understand the concern on SHA.
Okay.
All right.
Pale nyuma, bima ya afya Kenya hii ilikuwa ya watu wenye ajira na watu wenye uwezo. Lakini sio wote wenye ajira na uwezo. Mimi naelewa sana washirika wengi wa kanisa hili la Jesus Winner pengine hawana ajira ile ya kuandikwa kazi, ama pengine hata wao wana uwezo mkubwa. Lakini nimesema ya kwamba kila Mkenya sasa, awe na kazi, asiwe na kazi, awe na uwezo, asiwe na uwezo, atakuwa na bima ya afya, na wale ambao hawana uwezo wa kulipa, serikali ya Kenya itakulipia. Mnasikia ndugu zangu? Kwa sababu neno la Mungu linatufundisha ya kwamba tusiwasahau wanyonge, na hiyo ndio asma ya bottom up. Wale walio chini tuwainue, ili na sisi tulio na bima wao pia wapate bima. Ndio kila mtu akiwa mgonjwa aende hospitalini atibiwe, asiuze mali yake, asiuze shamba lake, tuweze kulipiana na bima ya serikali mambo yote ya matibabu ya Wakenya wote. And that is what we are working on. Kwa sababu it is the biggest program tuko nayo kwa taifa la Kenya pengine itachukua muda ishike laini, lakini believe you me, it is going to work. Believe you me. Tumejaribu, serikali ya NAC ilijaribu because it's the right thing to do, haikufaulu. Tulijaribu kama Jubilee, hatukufaulu. Mimi nawaambia kwa mapenzi ya Mungu tutafaulu safari hii. Huyu askofu ametuambia it is not yet over. Si alituambia askofu huyu? Hata yule Abrahamu alikuwa miaka 100, lakini aliambiwa you will be the father of nations. Hakuona mwili yake, hakuona ile matatizo ilikuwa pale, hakuona mama Sara alikuwa amekuwa mzee sana, lakini aliamini Mungu. Tunaamini Mungu, Kenya hii itabadilika.
Well, President William Ruto speaking with finality that no matter what, we must proceed with SHA, and positive that indeed this will work. Something that perhaps the chairperson of KUKO will say is not possible based on the concerns that they raise as to SHA. Of course, at this very point, then the biggest question would be, what is the bone of contention? And I know Kenyans understand, but in less than a minute, could you paint a picture of what gets us here?
I want to start by agreeing with the president.
Okay.
SHA has to work.
Okay.
We have no option.
So we're not going back?
NHIF was repealed, I think on 23rd of October last year. There is no NHIF. There is no legal framework for NHIF. Social Health Authority has to work, and that is why we are here.
Okay.
That is why we are trying to put some sense into the management of the Social Health Authority. But what I would like to caution the president is that he's not going to achieve what he wants to achieve. I know he means well. Whatever he says is something that can actually be achieved. But the current leadership that you're having under the Social Health Authority, he is not going to achieve through that leadership.
Okay. All right. We talk about exclusion, even as you tell us what exactly, is panning out. So when we're talking about this exclusion from SHA, that is for the clinical officers on the claims approval system, and of course, how does it get to impact the clinical officers and patients as we speak right now?
The legal framework that guides the Social Health Authority provides that for any service provider, and service provider is divided into two.
Okay.
There is the hospital, we call it a facility, and there is the person, we call them the health practitioner. Both of them have to be empaneled. That is as per the law. The law says that the regulatory bodies will submit a register to the Social Health Authority, and upon receipt, they don't have an option. They are going to empanel. What is empanelment? Empanelment is formal recognition of the practitioners or the facilities in the system, so that now they are recognized as providers who offer services on behalf of the authority. So when they came into place, they then decided that they only wanted to work with one of the regulatory bodies, despite ourselves having more than 10 regulatory bodies.
Right.
That is KMPDC.
Right.
And with that, that only meant only 2 cadres would be recognized. That is the dentists and the medical officers. Because even the doctors who are pharmacists are outside KMPDC. They're in the pharmacy and poisons board.
Okay.
So what that then meant is that the facilities, more than 1,200 and something facilities owned by clinic officers, registered by the Clinic Officers Council, they were left out. And of course, all the providers, the 30,000 clinic officers, more than 30,000 that are registered by the Clinic Officers Council, and who offer services in this country, both in the private, public, and the faith-based. And actually out there in the private and faith-based, we are the majority of the clinicians. I must appreciate that through this push, now they have agreed to empanel the facilities.
But even before that,
yes.
I'm assuming that this proposal was being made, and of course with the push that then the same entities that you're talking about could be encompassed to these 2 main, and then they are carried under 1 or 2 umbrella. What is so difficult about that?
No, that is not what it meant. It was interpretation of those, actually not interpretation. It was just people trying to suit their selfish interests.
Okay.
Because the issue of merger of regulatory bodies and the issue of empanelment, they are exclusive.
Two different things.
They are exclusive.
Okay.
In empanelment, they are actually not required to know
whether you're under
whatever regulatory bodies, because they are supposed to just receive the list from everyone, the nurses, the physiotherapists, the lab, and whoever else. And upon receiving, they are supposed to empanel. They do not even have an option of doing anything else.
But you had been locked out, evidently.
Yes, we had. And that is why I'm saying that
finally you've reached
these people went outside the law. And that is why we call them a cartel, by the way. I don't call them a cartel because I hate them.
I was about to ask you that. Why would you look at this body that is enshrined in the laws and call it a cartel?
SHA is not the cartel. It is the people working within SHA.
So it is SHA, not KMPDC.
In collusion with people working under the Ministry of Health and people working under the KMPDC. And let me tell you why they are cartels. What is a cartel? A cartel is an amorphous formation, an amorphous group that works in the darkness.
Whether registered or not. Because Cap 253 of the laws of Kenya, you understand very well that, of course, a KMPDC is under this act. So you cannot
That is what I'm explaining.
Okay, proceed.
They go outside the law to pursue their interest. And this is how they were doing this. They were trying to push everybody to KMPDC. That is going to benefit KMPDC monetarily, but then illegally, because they are not supposed to be registered there, whether it's the facility or the person. Then you look at the Social Health Authority. What is their interest in engaging into the regulation side, which is not theirs, because for them, they're only supposed to empanel the contract.
All right.
And then you look at the ministry. The ministry has been actually, some of the players within there, they have been the drivers of all this, of pushing the Social Health Authority without a written policy to be able to do this, which is against the law, and they know. And that is why we have been saying that that is cartelism. If you look at the definition of cartelism, that is cartelism, and that is what killed the NHIF. If it's not checked, it is the same thing that is going to kill the Social Health Authority. I know they don't like me because of saying these facts, and we'll continue saying them. But the chokehold that has been maintained on SHA, especially by the KMPDC and some of the players within the ministry, if that is not going to be checked, we are also going to kill SHA. And you can keep this for records. If this continues the way it is, and doing these illegalities that are denying Kenyans access to health care, SHA is going to go down because Kenyans are not going to register. If you look at the numbers that have been registered, it is basically those who are employed, both in the public and the private.
We're talking about 9, is it in 9 million or what exactly?
The ones who are contributing.
The ones who are
3.3 million.
Well, I'll check the records correct and tell you the ones that have registered and the ones who are contributing, because registration then would automatically mean you're contributing.
No, it doesn't mean.
It doesn't mean so. So you could have been registered, but you do not contribute.
Yes.
All right, well
I think they have registered to around 19 million.
19 million, yes.
19 million. But only around 3.3 or 3.4
are the ones who are
contributing.
Okay.
And if you look at it, 3.3 are being deducted because they are salaried.
Okay.
It's only 100,000 who are not salaried who are contributing. And probably those are the sick people. They are paying because they are sick so that they can be able to utilize SHA. Why aren't Kenyans registering for SHA? Why aren't they contributing into SHA? Is it that they do not see the benefits? It is because the facilities that are near them, whether private or public, because 91% of the facilities in Kenya are either level 2 or level 3.
Right.
That is the primary health care. The clinicians who work there are clinical officers. So if you are going to a level 2 or a level 3, and what you required there required a pre-authorization, the clinical officer will tell you, I'm sorry, I cannot be able to use SHA. It's either you pay cash, or then you can move up maybe to level 4 or to a facility that is registered under KMPDC, where you can be able to get that service. And of course, Kenyans are going to spend more from out of pocket in terms of the fare they are going to use. In terms of if that service, then they have to get it there, they have to pay from their pocket. We are no longer implementing the UHC because in UHC we must protect Kenyans against the financial challenges while accessing that health care. And basically that is why we are saying that the SHA as currently constituted, as currently being managed, it is not aligned to help us achieve the UHC goal. And that is why I'm saying I agree with the president. I know he means it. I was there when he was signing the law. Right. And I know in his mind, he is clear about what he wants. But the people he has put there, and I thank Governor Sang because he has come out. I thank Aaron Cheroyot, I saw him. He also, I think in the Senate, said the same thing. Right. That the management is an issue. And unless the management is sorted, then we are not going to go forward. All right. Of course, when we're talking about these concerns that, of course, the clinical officers continue to have, we were supposed to have Dr. Lishenga here. The concerns, again, are being witnessed by clinical officers that are under private facilities. The same concerns are also being experienced? Yeah, basically because they were not empaneled, okay. And so they were not contracted. All right. It is now they are being contracted. Okay, so that has been addressed, you would say? Yeah, that one has been addressed. Now they are being trained on the contracting. I believe they are sorting some of the things. Okay. They have empaneled the facilities, but they are yet to empanel. They are yet to empanel the providers, who are the clinical officers. Okay. And I think if you look at it, and we are going on demonstrations on Wednesday. And this will not be a normal demonstration. Okay. We will be collecting signatures outside the Social Health Authority. And we'll be collecting signatures from the public and from ourselves. We will then take them to Parliament, both the National Assembly and the Senate, so that we table a petition for these people to be censured. Why? Because number one, if you look at what they are doing now, by denying clinical officers the right to see Kenyans, whether through their facilities or themselves, okay. They are, of course, denying Kenyans access to health care. That is against Article 43 of the Constitution. They are discriminating those Kenyans, that you can only be seen if you go to a facility only by this one and not the other one. That is against Article 27. And of course, undermining the superiors who gave them the directive. Okay. I believe these are grounds that should have these people censured, because it is like we have been calling that they be sacked, and we are not seeing that happening. But now that Parliament has really seen what we have been saying, we want to take a petition asking that that be done, because I don't think there is anything else that we'll be able to do. Can we get to specifics? And of course, as we almost sum it up, Wednesday is 2 days away. Yes. So there's Monday and Tuesday. Do you suppose the concerns might be addressed before it gets to this point where you have to hit the streets and collect the signatures? And what then would be, what steps do you suppose should be taken to ensure that, of course, the clinical officers are adequately represented, number one, as well as are allowed the chance to accord this health, of course, elements to the people. But above everything, what in terms of policy needs to be done so that we have a long-term solution? And where are we at as to the CBA status? Thank you. I think moving away from the Social Health Authority, one of the problems that we have had is also that in the Ministry of Health, there is over-domination by particularly one cadre. We need at the policy level a representation of the ministry. We need the top leadership, that is the directorates, excluding the political leadership, appointments. We should have a reflection of the health sector. We should have a nurse there, a physiotherapist, a clinical officer, a doctor, everybody, so that then we have sound decisions, and we also don't have bias. When it comes to the issue of the CBA, and I think I can talk about now the return to work agreement, the CBA, with the ministry, we finished and initialized around start of December last year. But then they're still saying they're waiting for Treasury and SRC so that we can sign. The Council of Governors, only a few things are pending. It's something that we can also be able to conclude, still saying that they're waiting for Treasury and SRC. The issues of promotions are underway. Counties are at different stages. But we decided that we will only go back once those processes are over, because they were supposed to be over last year.
Yeah.
We have two other major issues, one being the universal health coverage staff. These are people who were employed when we were starting this UHC in around 2020, just before COVID. Around 8,571 of them, a mixture of all the cadres. They were paid half of what the others are paid, with the promise that they were going to be absorbed in their permanent and pensionable. 5 years on, that has not happened. Last year, you remember, during our strike, we were also representing them. And when we had a joint sitting of the Senate and Parliament, there was a resolution that add them 2 years, so that within the 2 years we can absorb them. The 2 years are ending in May of 2026.
Okay.
But in this current budget, we don't have money to absorb them.
Okay.
And that is why we are saying, come on, you said you are going to absorb them at the end of the 2 years. There won't be another budget, that is budget policy, that will be made before May 2026. So we need to see that budget in the next financial year, so that then we'll be sure that this is going to happen.
Okay.
And then there is the issue of the interns posting. We have two issues in this. One is that we have around 2,500 who are at home, who have not been posted for almost 2 years. But then we also saw the CS the other day saying that we are still going back to the salaries that had been reduced. So these are the issues that have really taken us on strike. But what I can say is that we are determined that this time we are not going to go back, unless, of course, the court forces us. I said we respect the law.
Okay.
But the courts, I know it's not going to force us, because the same court is the one that gave the directives that the employers have not been able to implement.
Okay, in 30 seconds, what do we need to do to the entire health system for us to get it right? 30 seconds.
What I would tell the president, I would like to address the president if I get my 30 seconds.
Yes.
And number one, I'll tell the president that, Mr. President, SHA can work and SHA can help us achieve UHC. You have the wrong leadership. Please send them home. Bring new people who can be able to take us forward. The Ministry of Health needs reforms, especially in the leadership.
Okay.
Please lead the reforms from the front. Give your directives so that we can be able to sanitize and remove cartels, because that is where they thrive.
Well, it's pretty much a new, system, and you ask yourself, and I mean, we saw one of the leaders actually being aimed out the other day. So the question is, who is this one that would come and bring in a sanity? Of course, the ball is on the government's court. Peterson Washira, thank you so much for always coming out to speak about the concerns, because when you speak for the clinical officers, you are certainly speaking on behalf of Kenyans. The conversation is bigger than our time, but we continue having this right here on TV47, so make sure that you always keep it here. My name is Linda Alela. It was great having you, appreciating the entire team, as well as the sign language interpreter, that is Rhoda Nyamai, as we come to a close. Chairperson, Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, Peterson Washira, asante sana for your time. And back at home, for the immense feedback, do have yourself a lovely Sunday night and a good week ahead.